but it wouldn't be nothing, nothing without a woman or girl. Ooh, you see, man made the car to take us over the road. Man made the train.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Purpose and passion loading. It's my time. Really? Happy Friday,
Was
fellas.
that the point?
We gotta deal with.
No comment.
Happy Friday, gentlemen.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, family. Listen, for everybody who's joining us virtually, welcome to the King's Cutting Board podcast. We are, hopefully, if you're tuning in for the first time or one of the first times, something that you'll find is different and refreshing. We are three gentlemen who decided to come together for the first time or one of the first times, simply because we wanted to offer a different experience. We wanted to offer different voices. We wanted to offer different perspectives to what we feel we see all too often, right? We wanted to positively impact and make a difference, specifically in the space when it comes to relationships between men and women, more specifically between Black men and Black women. What we know that there's a lot of content out there right now that illuminates the differences that we have, right? All too often, gentlemen points out what's wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
What Black men aren't doing, right? What Black women won't do, what they insist upon. We came together because we wanted to offer our perspectives as men, give insight into the thoughts, the feelings, the fears, the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations, and the frustrations of Black men in a way in which oftentimes, ladies, you specifically do not hear. In the process, it is our express intent to create new norms, right? To cause men and women to lean into, right? To listen to and learn from one another and talk to each other far more than talk at each other. If you would, before we get into our topic, please like, please follow, please share with other people what it is that we're doing, what we're building. You can find us on Facebook at the Kings with an apostrophe S Cutting Board Podcast. You can also find us, watch us on YouTube at the King's Cutting Board 2024. With that said, my name is Victor Vaughn. The gentleman to my left,
Bruce Bailey, Choir Boy. What's happening?
Some really dope shoes on there, homie. They can't see, but I might get those up off you.
I appreciate it, bro.
The gentleman down there with the clean, freshly starched shirt and collar.
Frankie, baby.
Right
Frankie
on. You represent.
All right, Don Chico, Caprice Davis.
And our executive producer, who's off screen, the wind beneath our wings, the boss of bosses, the harasser of harassers, Coach Princess Di is offset, keeping us on track. Gentlemen, this evening's topic.
Yeah, good one.
It's a good one, right? It's one of those ones when Di threw it out, like, okay. And then I started working through it and I started thinking through it. And what really got me excited about it when I started sharing and telling people what this week's episode was about was how many people say, oh, that's good.
Yes.
I'm going to be tuning in.
Absolutely.
Is one, and once we always do our homework, we always do our legwork, we always do our due diligence and preparation for the show. And I don't know about you all, but the more I dug into it, there more there was to dig into it. So with that said, you guys have to know this. Some of our episodes are going to be funny.
Yeah, definitely.
Some are going to be serious. This evening, we believe there's a lot of meat to it. What it's never going to be, though, is clickbait. Again, we're always here to make a difference, always here to illuminate, always here to illustrate, always here to add content, and at the end of the day, add value. And so this evening, we're going to be talking about blended families, the blessings and the challenges of navigating that space, right? When you're bridging and building and bringing families together. The gentleman immediately to our left always sets the tone for every single episode. We don't know anybody better to bring better content. And so with that said, Bruce, why don't you kind of set the stage, set the foundation for what our discussion is going to be this evening?
I like how you led off because, and I think what we've even discovered in this short period of time that we started talking about this particular topic is that it touches just about everybody, if not everybody.
It does.
In some way, shape, or form. They've even experienced it. They know somebody who have experienced it.
Absolutely.
I mean, from the boyfriend to the husband and wife to the children,
Yes.
all aspects literally can be impacted and affected by this particular subject. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about or exploring the unique dynamics of blended families, right? And how to nurture a more healthy, loving relationship within blended families. Blended families, they can typically bring joy.
Absolutely.
But we also know they also can present a lot of challenges,
A lot.
right? It's a complex space to be in at
is.
any point because it's so many different nuances, right? So many different factors that go into trying to really make this thing work, if you will,
No doubt about it.
right? One of the things that I like to say about certain situations as such that are such or so complex is that it's not necessarily hard. It's just super, super different. So especially when it comes to something like this particular topic on tonight, this blended family, right? And we want to hear from you guys. If you are in a blended family, or if you know someone who's in a blended family, or if you've ever explored maybe a relationship that had, that was blending families, right? We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your experiences. Share with us some of your thoughts, even some of the things that we're talking about. We want to hear whether that was applicable to some of what your experiences were, right? So here's what we want to discuss tonight, right? We understand that blended families and relationships it's important to discuss it for several different reasons. We want to grow the prevalence, okay? We want to discuss the unique challenges surrounding blended families. And then what I think is always important with any relationship is communication skills. How do we all communicate better within this particular dynamic, right? This unique dynamic. So the episode, we're going to cover several key topics to help you guys kind of navigate the complexities of blended families and the dynamics of it, right? Understanding blended families, we're going to talk about that. Building strong relationships within a blended family, and then managing the conflict. So let's get into this first point, understanding blended families. Okay, and we'll start with the clear definition of what blended families are and discuss the common challenges they face, helping to set the context for the conversation of a blended family. Definition: power to define is the power to fulfill. Yeah. Blended families, also known as step families, are formed when one or both parties in relationship have children from previous relationships, and they come together to create a new family unit. I had this in bold. They come together to create a new family unit.
Hold on, can y'all back up and just talk about why Caprice felt y'all probably shouldn't?
I'm gonna get to that. I got all that. I got all that. So thank you.
A segue into how we get here.
Yeah. So we actually got here. That is a good point. We got here because Caprice, he brought it up, and initially we were like, that's touchy. That's touchy. People may feel a certain way because it's a complex, sensitive conversation to have, right? Because there are a lot of dynamics as we found to go into the making of this blended family. You just shared a story with us earlier that I won't share, but you you expressed to us the sensitivity behind even when when Dot said this is what we're going to talk about this
Yeah,
week.
for sure.
Like it touched something, it hit something, it resonated in
No
you
doubt.
and made you conscious about whoa. Like it took you back to a
Yeah.
point.
No
Y'all
doubt.
meant it.
Literally.
Y'all
Literally.
You know what
And
I'm
that's the
saying?
perspective, and you get ready to share why you bought it. What I'm proud of us on, right? So even when you brought it up, right, and to your point, it'll dovetail into what we're talking about. It wasn't a no, but I'm glad it was a not now, right?
Right.
Because as a unit, right, as men, we've come together, we've melded,
Yeah.
because what we say is we don't want to be talking just to talk, right?
Correct.
Just for the shock value,
Yeah.
shock value. So now that we've come together, right, learned each other's style, how we communicate some of each other's life experience, we're able to breathe life into this
Facts.
topic in a way we couldn't have done a month or 6
Facts.
weeks ago.
Facts.
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 So yeah,
I agree.
So what made you bring this to our attention? What made you want to have this a topic of discussion?
Life experiences. I come from a blended family.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So you know the relationships.
You come from a blended family, but
Yes.
also you have somewhat of a blended family dynamic.
Yeah, right. So coming from a blended family, right? So, and not to get too deep into it because I don't know how they may feel,
Mhm.
right? But I didn't have the relationship with the other siblings that could have had.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
You started
So-
right out the gate, Jay.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a little different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know, and then my dad had other kids, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Married or what have you. Didn't have a relationship with them.
yeah,
So, you know, then as I got older, I had kids and, you know, trying to form, you know, this, that, and the other. And then it's just, honestly, it's one of those things that a lot of times we don't pay attention to. We start repeating cycles.
Yeah. That's good.
You know what I
That's
mean?
very good.
We start
Yeah,
repeating
definitely.
cycles and not really understanding or not knowing that we're actually doing it. We just
Yeah.
think I take care of my kid, I'm doing this or doing that,
Mhm.
and so on and so forth. And then while you're dating someone or either in a marriage with someone, if it's the dad, usually the kid usually stays with the mom.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
you know, when you get your kid, it's a couple, you know, weekend or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
That time it's not a lot.
Dang.
Sometimes that child can get envious or feel a certain type
Yeah.
of way.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Because the other person, the person that you're married to, their kids are there more.
it's
You get what I'm saying?
it's so. Go ahead.
No,
My fault. I'm
it's,
out.
it's just that they're there more,
Yeah.
and they start feeling a certain type of way. So, you know, I have a buddy who kids by the woman that he's with and kids from previous or what have you.
Mhm.
But one thing I noticed about him, and he instilled this in his kids from small all the way up. This is your house, always. So
Mhm.
I don't care if your mom drops you off and pulls off or whatever. Don't be scared to come knock on the door. As a
Mhm.
matter of fact, keys. So they pop up and they run in the house and do
Love
whatever,
that.
just like it's their normal house.
Yeah. Is
And
he,
so
is,
they-
is he married?
Yeah, I think they're married now. But
Okay.
the thing is, it's so crazy because she accepts them and all that. She
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
you know, no shade or nothing. The other brothers and sisters or what have you, it's no step, nothing.
So
They
that's
just strictly refer to that's my brother, that's my sister. this,
so
that.
that's a healthy.
Yes.
That's
Very-
a healthy
yes.
blended family.
And that's what
Yeah.
actually woke me up to viewing, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
how things work.
And I was as he was talking, I was thinking about when you talked about repeating the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
There is an unawareness
Mm-hmm.
in these circumstances, right? Because even as you was expressing that, I too
Mm-hmm.
was catapulted into a blended family,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where it may have been 10 years or so now, maybe less than that,
okay,
where I actually met my dad's other kids.
wow,
Mhm.
wow,
See?
wow,
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And here I am, me and mom's,
Mm-hmm.
and the crazy thing is that all my siblings on my dad's side, live with their mom,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You see
right?
the cycle?
So now, yeah. So now when I met them,
Mhm.
it was weird. It was awkward. You know what I mean? And even to this day, while we're close,
Yeah.
there's still an impact that we can actually tell that because we haven't been around each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is my oldest daughter,
Mhm.
who, man, I had her before I got married.
Yeah.
So when I got married, I had 3 kids with my wife, right? My oldest daughter felt some type of way, unbeknownst to me,
Mhm.
until she was able, as an adult, to communicate and express herself and articulate, right? We went out to lunch one day because she said, we need to talk. And I'm like, cool. And she expressed to me how she felt about that whole situation, right?
Mhm.
And then the other dynamics with me and her mom not having the greatest of relationship. You know what I'm saying? There was some triggers as it relates to me and her mom relationship.
Yeah.
So me not really having the opportunity to really express to her or really demonstrate to her, with me having my other family over here,
Mhm.
and she seeing me with them, and like, you know, so it was weird. And then I'm gonna turn it over to you because I see you.
Yeah.
When we went out today, she said, here's what she said to me, right? She said, I always felt some type of way because while you were living with your family as you should have been, I felt deprived.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She
Emotional
said,
challenge.
she said, I felt deprived.
Yeah.
She said, and I felt like I wish my dad would have tried harder to build this relationship with me. And while it hit me like a ton of bricks,
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna pass it on to you because it's like I said, it's touchy,
Yeah.
but it's necessary.
It's definitely necessary.
It's necessary.
Y'all are messing with my gangster real early.
Bro, listen to me.
Testing you. So while y'all were talking, really, I wanted to commend you both, right? So this platform is all about men's perspective. It's all about the 3 of us believing we have the ability to give voice to men's our personal facts, thoughts, feelings, emotions in a way in which most men, especially Black men, don't do. We've talked about this many times. We're set aside and set apart in a bad way very, very early on. We're taught to literally divorce ourselves from our emotions, right? And that may sound deep, but it's really simple, right? Because as little boys, and I literally saw somebody doing this to a 3-year-old little boy the other day. He fell down, he started to cry, and his mother's grandmother, whoever, was like, get up. Like, you know what I mean? Stop crying. You all right. And he wasn't, quite frankly, right? And so we carry those things in football. Stop being a punk. Stop being a sucker. Stop, you know what I mean? You all right. Shake it off. Walk it off. And right. And then we find ourselves as these grown men, and we've been shaking it off and walking it off our whole life. And we have all of these amassed experiences that we pushed past but never worked through. So good. I wanted to commend you all, right? Because what you're saying out loud now, a lot of times we don't say to ourselves, let alone have those conversations with other men. Right. Y'all are doing it in front of the whole world, right? And that's just, I admire you all for doing that. So that's all. That's what I wanted to jump in and say for a minute.
All right. So we in, I think we're in the meat of this thing now. Pause. But I mean, because again, it's, and I think throughout the course of this episode, there are so many real life examples that we can actually pull from. Right. And we want to definitely talk about a lot of those to give you guys insight that you're not alone in what you're dealing with.
Right. You're not perfect. I mean, nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
So, you know, especially another way of looking at it, in my opinion, we don't get a manual when it comes to parenting.
Facts.
So I can't hold any grudges or anything like that towards my parents because of how they raised me and my siblings and things of that nature. it is what it is.
Yeah.
You just try to recognize mistakes as you move along in life to correct and improve so that you don't repeat those mistakes,
Mhm.
especially with your own kids.
Yeah.
It's wild because you brought up the conversation that you had with your daughter. I had a conversation with my daughter one day, right? It was a while ago. And she brought up the fact that she felt deprived. And the thing about it was, now here's the crazy part, because of the relationship and things that I was doing for her brothers.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, but we were,
Mhm.
everybody was, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So if I go get ice cream, I'm getting them for, you know what I mean? I'm looking at it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But her mindset is I guess she wanted me to herself.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's understandable, but these are things that our children grow up having bottled up inside. And I could have said, well, that's selfish and so on and so forth. But at that time, she was a child and she was having those feelings.
Mhm.
So as she got older and was able to express them, she loves her brothers like crazy. But she was trying to express that in my opinion, that she needed more from me.
Mhm.
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 You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so sometimes we miss the mark
Absolutely.
and paying attention and noticing those things.
Absolutely.
So now I give them the space to say what they want to say, and I can, you can get angry, I can get angry, whether we talk or not talk, whatever the case. I still love you. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So reaffirming that I'm still here.
Mhm.
Okay, I was wrong. I acknowledge that. Full accountability.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think that will start to help her
Mhm.
or whoever understand, hey, he was new at this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
He's a new parent. He didn't know any better,
Facts,
or whatever
facts,
the case may be.
facts.
And maybe I need to start paying attention to things as well, because now I'm a parent.
Yeah.
You get it? You see what
Yeah,
I'm saying? It helps
definitely.
break the cycle.
Definitely. So cycle. You segued great today.
So
So let's talk about. Let me give first of all some stats and some
Mhm.
trends, right? So we can help really understand how essential this conversation is,
Mhm.
right? Prevalence: approximately 40% of families in the United States are blended families.
Wow, almost half.
Almost half.
Mm.
See that?
Wow.
Almost
Mm.
half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Divorce rate. The divorce rate for first marriages is around 40 to 50%.
Okay.
About 60 to 70% of those who remarry create blended families.
Okay.
See the trend is leading right to this whole reasoning
Mhm.
why we need to have this conversation, right?
Right.
Children in blended families, is estimated that around 1 in 3 children will live in a blended family by the age of 19.
Mhm.
That's crazy. And then one more, remarriage rates, about 75% of divorced individuals will remarry, with many entering into blended family situations.
I mean, that's part for the course. That's right. That's you, right?
That's me.
I'll definitely get married again one day after dealing with divorce. And for me, I have a different perspective. I grew up in
Mhm.
a home with both my biological mother and father. You know what I mean? It was what I call a very Cosby-like existence. You know what I mean? It was balanced. It was healthy. It was wholesome. But when you all were talking, what I was thinking about when appreciating your transparency and sharing your experiences is how important it is, and how we always come back to the foundational principles of this platform, right?
Mhm.
And how we talk about purpose and relationship, right?
Right.
And how we talk about non-negotiables and really identifying about what it is that you want in the next person that you decide to spend your time and your energy
Yeah.
with. And looking back on the impact, right,
Mhm.
that you had from what you dealt with from your mother and your father
Mhm.
and that dynamic, right? What that led to for your experiences with your children,
Right.
right? And then taking full ownership in that when we're drawn to somebody, not just thinking about what they look like,
Mhm.
right? What they make, right? Are they fun or whatever the case may be? But what value, which we talk about often also, what value do they bring to this home,
Mhm.
to this setting? Do they have the ability? Do they have the emotional intelligence, right? To deal with all of the challenges that come with blending a family. And they are blessings and challenges because what we know, and you and Dial, you all live your life and your marriage out loud. So I
Mhm.
appreciate this. But all of those challenging stages give us the ability to demonstrate just how much we love and care about the people that are in our lives if we lean in, right? If we talk to them, if we listen to them,
Yes.
get out of our emotions, get out of our insecurities, right? And make it all about love and the purpose of what we're doing.
Definitely, man.
Wow.
Studies actually indicate, to your point, that blended families often experience unique stressors, right? Such as adjustment issues and conflicts, over parenting styles, loyalty challenges, and feelings of exclusion, what we just talked about, among children.
Absolutely.
Right. So those are some of the common challenges that you now have to figure out, how do I navigate through these complexities?
And you know, when you were speaking about the divorce and things of that nature, right? So now I looked a little further, and the reasons, the top reasons for divorce in blended families being finances, lack of communication, conflict over the stepchildren,
absolutely,
different parenting styles,
absolutely,
and last one was infidelity. But notice that was the last one.
I think
was the last one.
Before, let me say this. So research also shows that blended families can also thrive, with many reporting strong relationships. You talked about one, right? Adaptability, resilience when effective communication and support systems are in place. So I want to talk about the two that you just mentioned. I think conflict, and it was one, parenting style
and conflict over stepchildren.
And conflict over. Those are the two I want to really hone in on, if you will.
Absolutely.
I think they're probably, in my experience, the two more prominent challenges faced with the blended family. Right? I can talk about where, you know, when I started dating Di, for example, and God rest his soul, her son Davon walks in the room. Right? He like, man, don't hurt my mother. You know, the guy in me want to be like, bro, like,
who you talking
to? But I was Holy Ghost. He grabbed me, and I said, listen, man. I said, no matter what I ever do to your mother, I can never hurt her as bad as you. Wow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And really, it shut his whole situation down.
Yeah.
And what I can say about Di's kids is the level of respect that they have. Because at the end of the day, what y'all got to understand is that we don't want to replace your father. We don't want to replace your mothers. Children don't want to replace your children. We just really want to have a respectful space that we all can be unified in.
Yeah, right.
You follow?
To that end, though, right? If we keep it 100, you know, when you're dealing with male ego, right? On the opposite, so I can tell you, I was a girl dad before Kobe ever started talking about being a girl dad. And there being certain dynamics and just being completely honest, right? When I separated and divorced, I didn't want any other men around my daughter.
Facts.
Period.
That's natural.
It's natural. Absolutely.
Naturally, right? Being selfish, not worried about their safety or their well-being, right? But don't mess up, right? What I'm doing and what I'm cultivating in my children, right? right? I am right what they need, and I'm grateful I didn't have to deal with that primarily. However, if I did in those situations, and I wrote this down, the primary goal of managing your interaction and relationship with the mother or the father, and I hate this term, I'm gonna use it for reference of your stepchildren,
Mhm.
is to bring a blessing to the child,
Facts.
right? And so when we talk about even thinking about who we may choose to be with,
Mhm.
do they have the ability,
Mhm.
the maturity, and again, the emotional intelligence to make it about that child
Mhm.
versus their preferences or
Right.
their ego or their past and previous
Right.
experiences?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And this what I've also noticed is, to your point, this loyalty the loyalty conflicts,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right?
Talking about like from the kids
From the
standpoint.
kids' standpoint,
Yeah, which is terrible.
because
It's crazy.
it's crazy, but it's understandable.
It is.
You know what I mean?
That's what makes it-
Because
what makes
that's
it crazy.
exactly.
Because
So
it's like, yeah, I understand.
yeah, so I mean, you got to think about, right? Children literally feel like torn
Betrayed.
between
Absolutely.
the biological
Absolutely.
parent versus the step parent,
Mhm.
right? Leading to feelings of guilt and almost division.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I can recall where Di asked Drew, she said something to the point, I don't know verbatim what it was, something to the point of, would you like me to be with your father? I don't even know how we got on the topic.
Right.
And of course, his response was yes.
Mhm.
Now, I never had a problem
Mhm.
with him.
Right.
Mhm.
He doesn't, we have a great relationship.
Yeah.
But the actual response in terms of how the child feels,
Yeah.
you follow? So
Absolutely.
I think when you go into this space, you have to understand these dynamics and the impact
Say,
of these dynamics.
you said something that that should go without saying,
Mhm.
but you said when you go into, right, which is why. So when you get married, pastor talks about marriage, right, and in this case, a relationship even that precedes marriage, that it's not an institution that should be entered into lightly.
Facts.
This is
Absolutely.
there are lives and well-being at stake. Like, this
Man.
is not something to play around with. It shouldn't be about great sex or he makes good money or she's pretty
None of
or
that.
even I have
None of
fun
that.
around them, when you're literally talking about bringing people together and their lives being forever changed for the positive or for the negative
Yeah.
as a result of what you do or you don't.
It's a construction job.
Facts.
It's a construction
And
job.
I think
We come there to
that's
build.
good. That's good. Because to your point, if I got a job to do,
Mhm.
construction job,
Mhm.
I'm not calling the doctor to help me.
At all.
So you gotta understand what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with when you come into. Because I'll just use your example, right? When you talked about, or your circumstance, where you talked about you didn't want nobody else around your daughter. So now I'm in a relationship with this other person that your daughter is the child of.
Yeah.
Now I have to consider what value am I adding to this young lady
Absolutely.
that can support
Yep.
what the parents are trying to or attempting to accomplish.
So,
Yeah.
so let me throw a curveball for me.
Absolutely.
So was dating a woman, right? She had a daughter. Dad was in her life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? A child support, all that, whatever. You know, he was there though. He would get her, and they would spend time together, so on and so forth. She had a father-daughter dance to go to. Dad couldn't make it. She asked me, the daughter,
Wow.
if I would take her, because I didn't want to see her let down again, and whatever. I took her. Took her to daddy-daughter day
Mhm.
for a little like Girl Scout camp type thing or what have you. You know, great time.
Mhm.
But when he found out, he wasn't upset, but he was hurt. So I didn't get upset. I wasn't upset because the way he displayed his hurt was a little through anger.
Right.
But he was like, you
What
know,
we do.
and it wasn't to me.
Yeah.
It was to the mom.
Mhm.
You know, don't ever ask another man. Da, 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 da. But and like she said, but you said you couldn't make it,
Right.
and that was important to her. And I think when she explained that, light bulb went on.
Let me touch on something
So,
because that's important.
and he and I, by the way, he and I have a great relationship to
Right.
this day. He thanked me. He said, "Man, you helped raise her, and I appreciate it."
So that's kind of
So,
where I'm going. That's kind of where I'm going because I think in those moments, while emotionally we may feel some type of way,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Men and women, because
Mhm.
I've had some situations with Di
Yeah.
Mhm.
and one of her child's fathers,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And what I always would encourage is that make what's important to the child important to you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, if I can't go as the dad
Mhm.
and my daughter asks,
Mhm.
Yeah.
why should I feel some type of way about that when I couldn't go? I know naturally speaking,
Absolutely.
I probably will,
Right.
but the mature that's where the maturity
But
level has to be.
you know what? The way I received it when she told me that was that he's hurt and he's upset at himself for
Absolutely.
not going,
Yeah.
so
So
not making it a priority for him to say.
so
you know what I mean?
I give him kudos because while he felt a certain way, I think he handled it as best as he could.
Right.
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 What I don't respect is that when you feel some type of way
Mhm.
as a parent about someone else who's engaged in
Mhm.
that type of relationship
Right.
with your child, you now taking it out
Mhm.
on that person or even the
Or the-
mother or the father, right?
Yeah.
Because teamwork makes the dream work at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So I think you just said a key term, right? So what I will say, right, having been married, having been separated, having been divorced, right, and now back in a loving, committed relationship, I'm the very best version of myself that
Facts.
I've been.
Facts.
Mhm.
I have a
Much different than
whole
10 years
20
ago, 5
plus
years ago.
year.
Yeah.
Every relationship
Facts.
that I've had all of those experiences to learn from
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and hopefully apply to,
Yeah.
right, who I'm loving and how I'm loving now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what I will say is this, right? A man who loves and cares for his daughter, man, that is a sacred space
Facts.
and place.
Yeah.
And while, however, he may have acted, what I do believe would have been right is that he know on the front end and just out of
Mhm.
respect, hey, are you okay with? So now, right, with
I
the
agree
woman that
with
I'm in
that.
a relationship, has a young daughter, I said to her up front, I said, hey, listen, I'm going to put this out here on the table. I'm absolutely willing to sit down and have a conversation with her father because I'm going to start interacting with his daughter. And that's just simply for me to say, as a man of daughters, I understand at the end of the day, nobody wants another man around their children.
So-
I respect that place in that space.
I think that's a good strategy,
Yeah,
Mhm.
tip, right? And I don't want to leave that out there without
Right on.
people missing it,
for sure.
right? So in that circumstance, we'll talk about the circumstance that you talked about. I think it would have been appropriate to your point.
Right.
And I don't know if you did this or not. I'm just
Right.
stating moving forward. If somebody else has this type of situation, I think the proper thing to do,
Absolutely.
right?
Mhm.
If applicable,
Yes.
because some
That part.
You can't even- you just like-
we're gonna get
I'm
to
gonna
that
punch
too.
him in his mouth.
Yes, that
And see,
part.
and
You
that's
know
what I
what
was getting ready to
I'm
say.
saying?
Some situations,
yeah. So I wanted to say that
don't
as
give
well.
you that space.
Absolutely.
And-
So I
and-
wanted to say that as well.
And I think, because like I said, to his credit, you know what I mean? he didn't fly off the handle
Yeah.
towards me.
Yeah.
And I think because of his and her communication,
Mhm.
mom and dad communication, he just expressed his frustration.
So let
and
me
anger
ask you
with
this:
him.
in
How's
that
that?
situation, did
Mhm.
you ask either the daughter or the daughter's mom? Did they have a conversation with him
So
prior to going?
So she went to him first, the daughter,
Okay.
when he said, this, that, and the other. Then she went to her mom and said, hey, I want to go, but I don't have anybody to take me, blah, 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 blah. And she came and asked me. So when she asked me, I said, well, did you talk to your mom and your dad about it? And she said, well, I talked to my mom, da, 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 da. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So honestly, I should have
That's
I
what.
should
That's
have
where I was going.
said, well, hey, look, let's clear this up with him. And
Absolutely.
da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Absolutely. Or at
You know what I
minimum,
mean?
had the conversation with the
Right.
mother. Say, hey, have you had a
Well, I
conversation?
did.
I would feel more
Well, see, that's the
comfortable.
thing. I didn't. She said,
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to talk to him. Because all of this, honestly, was really like short notice.
Okay.
It was, and I said, you got to stop letting me know these things at short
Yeah.
notice.
Yeah.
You got to give me enough time,
Yeah.
not just myself,
Yeah.
but give
So
him enough time. You know
so
what I mean?
dad actually had a right to feel like that.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever
It's
communicated to him.
understandable.
It's
You know what I'm
understandable.
saying?
Right.
It's like coming home and finding somebody in your house.
Hey,
Yeah.
Like, why are you here?
Hold up, yo, hold
Why
up.
are you here, homie?
Hold up, bro.
Hey,
You going a
look,
little too far there, bro.
Look.
I'm just saying.
But see, so it is cool. I get it, because that is the thing that we are supposed to do as men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One of the biggest things that men and women face, or challenges that we face, is communication.
Yeah.
Because our language a lot of times is different from their language, and vice versa.
You throwing alley oops tonight.
Yeah, and so and a lot of times when you're dating someone or what have you, they're used to doing things their way.
Different parenting
Exactly.
styles. And that's what I wanted to touch
Yeah.
on next, right? Blended families often involve parents with different approaches to discipline,
Absolutely.
right? Different approaches to communication, different family values, right? Which can create confusion and tension,
Mm-hmm.
right? So one of the things that I know me and Dad did when we transitioned to this blended situation is we wanted to make sure everybody understood where we stood,
Mm-hmm.
her and I.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that was
United front.
united front, bro. Like that was first out the gate, right? And then we had conversations, and kind of communicated expectations
Yeah, that's good too.
with everybody else outside of just
Mhm.
her and I. But what I also understood, which was different for me and Di, and it I can't say that it was any tension,
Yeah.
but we conversed back and forth about the different parenting styles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where I'm a little bit more on the, hey, I'm more, hey, can you do this?
Yeah.
Once you do that, can you do that?
Right.
But she's more on, nah, I need you to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was a different approach, but we had to communicate
Yep.
on, okay, how do we meet in the middle?
Yep.
Mhm.
And it really, for us, it was simple.
Yeah.
If you tell them do something,
That's
do
what
it.
it is.
That's what it is.
is.
You know what I'm saying? And if they can't respect that,
Yep.
then they gotta go. When they hear your
Right.
voice, they hear my voice,
Right.
and vice
Right.
versa.
Right.
That part.
So
Right.
so one of the things I think with this blended situation, especially when you have co-parenting,
Right.
right?
Right.
If there's no harm being done to the child, why are you so concerned about how I parent, and why should I be concerned about how you parent?
But see, to me, I think when two people get together as a couple, married or seriously dating or what
Mhm.
have you, and you discuss those things of parenting styles and so on and so forth, I think that's when you hammer out what you guys feel will work best for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And once you put those things together, like say, for example, the way you say things versus the way that Di says something, right? You may say, well, yeah, my kids are not used to someone talking to them.
We're gonna have to do a part 2 on this, y'all.
You know what I mean? So,
we not even halfway through, bro.
Right. Because this was a good one, man.
It's a real good one. We've been really discovering this with, I think, our last 2 probably episodes, that what we don't want to do is to get in the habit of rushing.
Right.
It's way too important.
Really good information.
It's really good information.
Right.
And we always talk about self-awareness, and there's just a lot of things that we just don't talk about.
Yeah, some stuff we leave a lot of good stuff out,
man.
So, but you know, with those with coming together and discussing those things, like I said, so if your kids aren't used to someone saying, no, I need you to go do da 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 da,
right,
they may receive it different.
Definitely.
And now they're
definitely,
you know what I mean? They have that animosity or what have you towards this parent, but
it's a whole adjustment, bro.
This right, and it doesn't mean that parent doesn't love you and this, that, and the other. It's just, you know, that it's different.
Yeah.
But that's why it's important to discuss all of these different things.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, you also have the kids sit down and have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we're a team.
Yeah.
We're a team.
Yeah.
All that, this, that, and the third. Nah.
I would say this. I got you, Vic. I would say this though. Also, I think it's important in blended families that the parents find their own unique and individual lane with the step.
You gotta build your relationship.
You gotta build your own lane.
You
like
to.
I can't talk to the kids like you talk to, because they used to hearing that voice. They used to get discipline like that from you, right? But for me, I'm an outsider in their eyes, right? You know, so you have to find your own lane in that thing, and that can be super hyper sensitive,
right?
You know what I mean? Right. Because the last thing you want to hear is "you not my father."
That's right.
Or "you not my mother." Bro.
Oh, you got me. Oh, you got me.
I'm grateful because the more we talk about, the more we come back to our foundational principles.
Yes.
Which lets me know that there's real purpose in what we're saying and what we're doing. Right. So when I hear you all talking, what I'm thinking about is truly the power to define is the power to fulfill.
Yes, sir.
And when we talk about the importance of communication, it's not just between the adults, but it's from parents to children. Yeah. Right. And when we talk about purpose, it's about setting a foundational understanding. Right. And so helping your children understand at the onset of the relationship. Right. First of all, right, this relationship has purpose. Yeah. I'm with her because God said I'm with her, because I don't just love her. I value her because she balances me. She makes me better, right? So that they in my instance, right, my daughters would see her in a light far more than just whatever her physical facade is, but why she holds value to daddy, why daddy thinks so highly of her, right? The benefit that he has to her and the value that she can bring to our dynamic, right? And so that they're viewing it to this prism. And when you talk about parental styles, it's best when they're not the same. If I'm the disciplinarian, you need somebody to pat them on their back and clean them up after I lean on their tail and tell them to, look, I'm not playing with you, right? And she come behind you and be like, you know how your dad is, right? You need that balance. And so as long as you understand those dynamics and those values, right? You understand what everybody brings to the table, it's all for the greater good.
So I hear you, and I'm not pushing back, but I do want to say that that's where the difficulty comes in.
Yeah.
Because while that sounds good in theory,
it does, doesn't it?
Children don't process it like that. They don't. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, well, I don't want to blanket it.
I got you.
Right.
But a lot of times children, they don't That ain't what they hear.
Right.
They ain't how they process
They
it.
not.
You know what I'm saying?
To your point, right? A couple things, and these are things we'll get into, like as we pivot to like things to keep in mind and tips, right? Again, if we start with the end in mind from the beginning, right? There's nothing that's necessarily easy about two becoming one. Even when you get married, man, when you like, yo, why you leave the cap off the toothpaste? You know,
Man.
like the smallest thing.
Can you put that
You know what
back
I'm
where
saying?
you got it from?
I like my side of the bed soft. You like your
Right.
side of the bed firm, right? You know what I mean? All these little, so none of it's easy, right?
None of it's easy. It's quite different.
But if we keep in mind the purpose and why it shouldn't be though, right? To
Right.
your point, construction, yo, if you look at a blueprint, it's complex as hell, right? Think about how projects are almost never completed on time. They're almost never completed on budget. You understand what I'm saying? The initial contractors that you bring in don't work. You gotta hire another
You
one.
probably-
You
you probably know some
One
stuff.
of them.
Yeah.
all of these things. So I'm understanding exactly what you're saying. And one of the most important things that I think you said that we should is the importance of defining the roles that are going to be played.
Yes.
That you operate in
Any
your purpose in
expectation.
doing so.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? And that you not be forceful
Right.
But
in doing it.
But that's the other thing, because the integration is an issue all within itself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that merging two families. I mean, that can be one of the most challenging
Right.
things
Right.
as members, just adjusting to this new relationship, roles,
Yeah.
dynamics, potential leading to feelings of, exclusion or resentment. Like that's a whole issue that you got to navigate by itself.
So
It's a standalone issue.
yeah. So when you have children, right, and you're in a relationship, and the two parents are there, and then they split, and you go and you get remarried or whatever the case may be, right? Now the child is torn, like you said earlier, but at the same time, when mommy or daddy brings someone new, a lot of times the reception of it is, now I got another person telling me what to do. And the thing, it's just not taken a lot of times the same way.
And that's even amongst siblings.
Yeah, exactly.
That's even amongst siblings, because there's it's a natural resistance. Right? It's because you're coming into this new situation and you don't have a clue what to anticipate or expect.
And I honestly think a lot of times the parents, we don't approach it properly.
I agree with that 100%.
Because here's the thing, a lot of times you're dating and the child meets you as the significant other of the other parent, and then before you know it, out of the blue, you wind up getting married or whatever the case may be, moving, whatever the case, right? But you never got that chance to, hey, I'm dating your mom or dating the dad or whatever, and we're going out and we're hanging out as a unit.
Right.
So they get to see that other side of this new person that's coming into their life, as opposed to just a disciplinarian.
So that's what I was alluding to.
I
Right?
knew
Okay,
you were.
okay.
Starting with the end in mind, a couple of things, right? So when you talk about some of the things that we grew up and around, right? Things that like I hate, and we talked about this. I hate when people say, well, I need my children to meet who I'm dating, because if they don't like them, then it's not going to work. To me, sometimes the challenge is, and listen, to each his own. This would never work for me.
It wouldn't work for me.
Sometimes they're resistant to the person because, this is the 7th dude they've met.
Yeah.
Easy, Vic.
And it's like,
easy, Vic.
Well, here come another one.
Easy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How long this one gonna stick around?
Yeah, facts.
That's just me. I just introduced my daughter.
That go back to the loyalty piece. That
Yeah.
trusting. Like, how can I trust mom or dad is making the right relationship?
And not to let men go without, you know what I mean, being held accountable, because a lot of times men will introduce their children to women far more easily than women
Facts,
will, right?
facts.
And
That is
we
true.
can't
That is
we can't
true.
take that lightly either. So for
I
me,
agree.
as a father of girls having been divorced now for over 4 years, they've never met another woman.
Wow.
Because
Right.
I look at the example that I'm going to set for them in the minute they
Mhm.
choose, and what I'm not going to do is have a parade of women
Mhm.
that they meet and that they see.
I've been single for 11 years, right?
Right.
And I'm not boasting on it. My son hasn't met any woman I've dated, not
Wow.
one. Because unless I see that future, you know what I mean? And not just me, the person that I may be dating or what have you has to be on the same page too.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So if they're eager to meet my kid or what have you, and I'm not ready, at least I know, okay, well, maybe this person is viewing long term.
Yeah.
But then you have some that's like they're not ready to meet the kid and they still figuring some things out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that because
I didn't want to meet women's children.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Quite-
So
I'm biased, but I think I'm a great person.
Mhm.
Children are impressionable, right? I
very,
love children.
very.
Right? I'm going to be naturally understanding and caring and right and protective and nurturing. And so I was conscientious about not having somebody's child be attached to me
I wasn't.
when I didn't have any
I wasn't.
design to be
right.
around.
I wasn't,
for a
and I
long
probably
time.
should have been.
You know
I
what I
probably
mean?
should have been
Well,
more
you know
conscious.
what, though?
Honestly, I wasn't. Like I
But-
was. It's like, well, I'm not smashing you. Like I'm smashing your mom.
That's real.
Well, but
That's
you know
real.
the crazy part about it,
That's real.
but it is. But the crazy part about it is sometimes it's good to meet the child.
Oh, absolutely.
To put that impression on them that
Mhm.
you know that was a great guy. He was good for my mom.
Mhm.
And here's the thing about it. Sometimes you become that model of the person that child starts to look at because out of all of the other people that
Mhm.
they've seen mom or dad date, they're like,
To each
You know what I mean?
To each their own. For me,
true.
there's more potential for harm than good.
There
And,
is.
and I don't
'Cause
play
you-
that when it comes
yeah.
to kids.
Because you get hurt.
So
they can get hurt.
I wouldn't. I'm definitely not disagreeing with that because I know I've been in some situations where, like, I met the family.
Yeah.
Like it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, and when I decided this ain't working, I was like, God,
Yep. Got to break up with all of them.
you gotta break up with
All of
everybody,
them.
bro.
All of them.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I can't expect them not to feel no type of way.
Mhm.
And it's challenges. So, for instance, right?
I still get called out on that.
ex-wife,
Man.
my ex-wife, we're extremely cool with each other's families. You know what I mean? Past holiday, I got invited to several months ago. I got invited to a family cookout. I was there. She wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those bonds are
Mhm.
absolutely there.
Yeah.
But again, right? That's when you intentional about it because you know it's purpose oriented. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, don't.
No.
Mhm.
You're right.
We should be lackadaisical.
Yeah. Because on the other hand, you know, I'm still relatively close with most of my ex-wife's
Right.
family.
Right.
You know, her mom will call, check, you know what I mean? She check on Diane, whatever the case. So I'm close, but on the other hand, right, there was an insecurity. I want to make sure because I don't want to. There was an insecurity in the whole merging piece of it because there was some things that happened that my children were still processing and probably are still processing,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And I don't necessarily put a time on how long they should be processing.
said.
Mhm.
And that was even one of the conversations me and Di had, right? Like, okay, you know what happened. So we gotta have to give this whole thing some time. We're gonna have to be sensitive to the whole thing,
Absolutely.
even to the point where we actually, Di and I, sat down with a counselor
Okay.
Mhm.
and one of my
I
kids
admire that.
to kind of help us navigate
Yep.
and set expectations
Yep.
for how this should look.
Yeah.
Right. So when you talk about, and that's what I'm saying, it's like the different factors and nuances. Get some help if you need to.
Absolutely get some help.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because we go back to construction, right?
Mhm.
Like that's literally you're in that realm. That's
Yeah.
what you do for a living.
Mhm.
Yo, when I need to paint in my house, I'm calling a painter. I'm not doing it myself because
Right.
it's not what I do.
Right.
And so when we talk about, especially for our people in our generation,
Mhm.
right, there's real value in understanding what a professional brings to the table and helping you navigate these spaces,
Mhm.
right, to deal with past hurt and then move into a healing space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've been talking a lot about the kids, right? What about these parents?
The parents
So,
of the person you're dealing with.
I think so. Again, I think it requires like open conversation
Yeah.
around the clock
Yeah.
at every new difference or challenge that you face with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's both as parent to parent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But also as parent to children.
Right.
Because I can recall having to have a conversation with one of thy sons, like, bro, we in this, like, this something different now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what you may be accustomed to, you got to understand that there's some things that her and I are merging together that she may not still be able to do that over here like she was accustomed to doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
And but again, it was all about open communication, and I then also gave him the space to articulate to me or express to me how he felt about that as well,
Mhm.
right? Because at the end of the day, I wanted us to understand and walk away with some type of mutual consensus on what the conversation was about and the goal that we were trying to accomplish in that conversation.
So again, to me, that underscores the importance of knowing who you're partnering with, right?
Facts.
And what they have the capacity to do or not do. And I say that because you have to be somewhat emotionally intelligent to understand the shifting dynamics
Mhm.
from our parents' generation to ours. And what I mean, I can crystallize it like this. When you were growing up, if your mother told you to do something, right? If you said, well, why? Cause, and that was the whole damn answer, right? You might have got because I said
You
so.
might be waking up next week too.
I was getting ready to say, I
That
came
was
up with
it. That
I'm
was
just-
it, right?
hitting the mouth.
Yeah.
You question me?
Yeah, you might be waking up next week. My mom ain't play like that,
Right.
man.
Our children's generation have been explained to for the entirety of their life. Why?
Yeah,
In school,
facts.
right?
Facts.
In the news, and
Yeah.
they get them.
Right.
So they want to so you can say because I said so, but you have to know that they've been socialized in a way in which that's not going to work.
Listen,
It's not going to
Because
fly,
there's
and it's
gonna
not
be,
going to
but
get
why?
you the desired result.
But why?
Right? So if you got somebody, well, that's how I came up, and that you understand what I'm saying?
More
Those types of dynamics.
more
and
is caught
understanding.
than what's taught.
Absolutely.
So
You know what I'm saying? More is caught when it's taught. So we have to demonstrate what we're trying to articulate.
well, you know,
Oh, that's a t-shirt.
It is.
Hey,
Another
So-
another one.
So, you know, one thing that I've noticed also a lot of times, parents, our older generation, as we get older, we spend a lot of time, for example, learning new things on the computer, the cell phone, the gadget, all of that. We spend a lot of time. Oh, so how do we do this Facebook? How do we FaceTime? How do we,
Mhm.
and we trying to learn it, but we're not learning the child. You're not learning the child.
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench. I'm gonna take a detour for a second, right?
Right.
So tell me about a time
Mhm.
that you may have been in a scenario, in a relationship, a space, interacting with a woman, right?
Mhm.
And there was some blending, right? Whether you were intending to get married or be serious, or so you're interacting with their children, their family, whatever the case may be, and it didn't go well.
When you say go well,
With the
Help.
child.
However,
are you
I'll
saying?
start off. I'll
So-
give you an example.
All right, give me an example. Let me see if that helps.
So I was in a relationship with a woman. She had a young son. I'm trying to protect the not so
Absolutely,
innocent in this
absolutely,
scenario.
absolutely. I get it.
She
Trust me.
had a young son. Her son's father.
Just yeah. It's cool.
However, right, when she got with me, he decided all of a sudden he wanted to do all the things he hadn't been doing.
Mhm.
Dude still owe me a thank you card. right?
Common,
Right?
bro.
he saw a man stepping into the space where there was a
Mhm.
void that he created, and he
Mhm.
acted out.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? Created all types of disruptions every single opportunity.
Been
that
there,
he
done
could.
that, bro.
You see what I'm saying? So so having lived, and then having to, for me as a man, having to show the restraint,
Girl, you about to make me leave.
because I had to
Uh.
be, in essence, I had to be an example for this child that the man that created him didn't even have the capacity to be.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
At the same time, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're
At the
good.
same time, also through demonstration and probably articulation, helping the child understand, hey, like that's your dad though.
Mhm.
Like there's a level
Absolutely.
of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, a level of maturity.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And for me at the time, being not even really understanding to the point of understanding, right? The person who we're partnered with and what they're capable of, and what they can and can't do and navigate.
Mhm.
She opted for the dysfunction.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I just kind of had to throw my hands up
yeah.
at some point. But that's why I'm excited for the space that we're in maturity, that hopefully we have all these experience of what didn't go right and what didn't work to draw upon, that we move differently now.
Listen, you have the right. When I say you, I'm talking about the other person.
Yeah.
You have the right to act out how you want to,
Mhm.
but you don't have the right to determine what the consequences going to be.
You're right about that.
Bruh.
Right about that.
You see what I'm
Right
saying?
about that.
Like you can do all that, but
Yeah.
you can't then come back and say, listen.
Yeah.
So let me give you my example, because we got to close after we do this,
Yeah,
and we gonna come back with we gotta come back with this one.
Part
next.
two.
Yeah, we definitely. But so I'll go back to the example that I talked about, right, with this young lady. And this was right before I met Di, and she was cool, and this was during COVID, so you know we locked in like,
Yeah,
and then when
yeah.
it so happened, and her and I caught COVID together.
Wow.
So the dynamics was she had 3 older kids. I think her youngest was graduating high school, going to college, on the way to college.
Okay.
Right? The other 2 already graduated. And her and her mom lived in this space together with the 2 younger kids. Right? So here I am coming over there. I'm over there like every day now.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And met all of we playing. I mean, you know how it is, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? End up catching COVID together. So we in the room 14 days. You know, so it was that type of situation. And like you, and I was telling Dad this also, I just have a heart to do.
Absolutely.
Right? I just have a heart to do. Young lady was cool, but I wasn't at the moment looking for anything serious. You know what I'm saying? And I expressed that to her. And while we were moving, probably looking like it was serious,
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily serious.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't ready to give up the dating game.
I got
Right on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I made a decision one day and I said, you know what, I gotta, because I'm a hurt Shorty.
That's real. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's too much on the line right now. Like the expectation for me is greater than even what I'm willing to give up.
Yeah.
I mean, so I had to make a decision, and while you know, in this situation, it's no right way to do this. It's never gonna, in most cases, gonna.
Go.
It ain't gonna end like you
It's
wanted
not.
to end. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not, right.
And you always gonna be left holding the bag. And I was prepared for that. And I said, listen, man. I said, I don't. I say, Charlotte, I don't want to hurt you. Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna need you. You do you. I'm gonna do me, because if this continues
Yeah.
and COVID is over,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna go well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and she, she had met my mom at this point.
Yeah.
Her and my mom had established some level of relationship.
Okay.
So it was that type of
Mhm.
party.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to your point, like you talk about with your kids
Yeah.
and people meeting them,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it
Yeah.
was with my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you met my mom, like seriously met my mom,
Yeah.
there was probably an expectation, and I falsely
Gotcha.
misdiagnosed
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
That's one of
created.
those things that
Yeah.
will make her think she might be the one.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I apologize. I took all what I thought was the right steps, but again, I can't blame her for any animosity
Yeah.
that she felt towards me.
Yeah. Right on.
You know what I'm saying? Because to your point, I gave her that impression.
Yeah.
I created that
Yeah.
that monster, if you will.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we always talk about with relationship. Can you trust a person that you would like? What is this intentional? Is there really like, is there an end goal here? Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So it was hurtful,
Yeah.
but I had to be honest.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then at the same time, to add another layer to it, I had started really getting feelings towards Di.
Right.
So I'm
right.
like,
yeah,
somebody gonna get hurt.
Well, see, you know what? And that's what that's what happens.
Yo,
That's what happens when you are dating multiple
facts.
folks. You never know when you're gonna get hit with those feelings, and then decisions have to be made. And when those decisions have to be made, that's why they say love's a gamble. You know what I mean? You win some, you lose some.
Dice.
It's a casino. Life's a casino. Love's a gamble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hope Di ain't listen. Don't say casino too loud.
but yeah, and, to Vic's point earlier, I've never this is weird now that I think about it. I've never not gotten along with anyone's kid. It seems like
But that's the problem, though.
Yeah, it seems
That's
like
part
that.
of
Right.
the problem,
That's
'cause,
problematic.
Like, because
Yeah.
again,
should it come to an end? Yeah.
because you don't walk in, especially if you dealing with this chick, like you're not gonna walk in and not do something to
Mhm.
create some type of
Not when you're a real man.
Yeah.
You're going to do what real men do.
Exactly.
And those children are going to resonate and
With
be
that.
drawn to that.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
incumbent upon us. So for me, right, it struck a lot of women the wrong way. But in between me being divorced and single, I would let women know very upfront, listen, I need you to understand that meeting my daughters is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
And they took it personally, even though it wasn't meant to be personally.
Right.
Because oftentimes the way it was received is, oh, I'm not good enough to meet his children.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When in essence, what it was is they have a mother that's phenomenal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
I could do more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
So when I tell you this isn't about you, it's simply for the experience that I want to cultivate for my children.
Mm-hmm.
And if they balked at that, then you can just keep it moving because they're far more important to me, honestly, in this moment than however your feelings might be. And that might sound harsh,
Right.
but that's the reality of the matter.
That's true. Wow.
that's
That's a good one.
it is. It is. So
part 2.
yeah, so we're gonna do part 2, man. I think we set a great foundation today.
Yeah.
Just addressing the challenges. I think what we want to kind of talk about our next episode with respect to this particular topic is addressing some of the challenges, with open communication,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
patience, a willingness to adapt, right? That can help, blended families thrive.
No
I
doubt.
want to get into the meat and potatoes of some of these things, man, and certainly that open communication, in my opinion, is at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give a few takeaways real
Cool.
quick, if you will, for
Yep,
some of the things
absolutely.
that we talked about.
Absolutely.
So one of the most significant predictors of a blended family satisfaction or success is for both adults and children, right? Is to be sure that you determine workable roles in the home and the
Yeah.
family. We talked
You
about
you
this,
talk,
right?
you did, you
Yeah.
did, you touched it.
And approach it collectively,
Mhm.
carefully, right? And
Mhm.
considerately determine each other's role so everybody has a fit, right? And has an ownership stake
Man, my attention
in
almost
the relationship.
attention got messed up. Excuse me, y'all.
Remember the primary goal of managing, I said this before, remember the primary goal of managing your interaction and relationship with the father or mother of your stepchildren, right? Is to be a blessing to the children. Make it about them, not about you. Be patient and not forceful in bonding with children,
Mhm.
parents, and family. Don't try too hard, right? Be yourself and allow things to take its natural course. To truly be a bridge to the future of your blended family, you need to honor the past, right? Not try to erase it.
Facts.
That's
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I'll give a quick example. So after separation and divorce in my old home, there were pictures of my daughters up with their mother, right? Because they love and appreciate their mother. No women really came into my home, but had they done that and come in and had an issue with that, we're not gonna work.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't understand it, if you're threatened by that, you don't try to erase what was.
Yeah.
You honor it and you create new traditions.
And that's and I'm gonna turn it over to you because I definitely want to hear from you before we close. That's one of the things again, and I just try to, be transparent as possible. That's one of the things that I know me and Dad was super conscious of.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because even today, currently the way the house is set up, a lot of it was prior to.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But out the gate, I said, listen, me castle, your castle.
Absolutely.
You can change whatever you want.
Absolutely.
You can do whatever you like. You know what I mean? I gave her that autonomy to do that without any boundaries.
Facts.
Now, why she still comes to me and talks about it, I'm like, even to the point where, well, I don't want to put that out there, but she changed. We decided to change some things.
Yep.
And we had to put our foot down about some things that we changed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I was like, first of all, none of this don't belong to none of y'all. So let me start there.
Facts.
So, we don't have to call and get permission to do none of what we're doing. I'm not sure what y'all talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, and we just have that type of bond. But like the point I wanted to make is what I respected about that is that she allowed that time for the process of transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
That's
mean?
key.
From the past to now, what as y'all come in here, you see we doing some new painting or whatever, changing. You know what I mean? So, but she gave that space not only to me, but to the family. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to point that
That's
out.
the perfect segue for me to hand off to you, Reese. I'll end it with this. 4 ways to manage your emotions as a step parent. Again, I hate that term. I'm simply saying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But number one, stop and think, right? To your point, just pause. You know what I mean? Don't be rushed. Don't be rash. Number 2, challenge negative thoughts. That one is huge. We know
I hope they're writing this stuff down, man.
of mindset. You have to know in a situation like this, especially if you're of a spiritual nature, the enemy is going to attempt to wreak havoc.
Always.
You have to manage your negative thoughts. You do that with number 3, practicing positive self-talk.
Thanks.
Right? Choosing to focus on the positive. If you're a believer, your affirmation, speak the word, love over your situation.
Did I say you was gonna preach tonight?
She did. And then last and not least, number 4, consider others' experiences, especially when you all were sharing to your credit, man, what it was like for you, right? Remember with these situations, take yourself out of the equation. Remember, it's supposed to be about the people that you love, respect, and are serving. Bro, we handing off to you. We here tonight talking about this because of you, so you might as well put a bow on it.
Yeah, put a bow on it. Close us out after this.
So 5 things that I'm gonna put out there to help manage and maintain and strengthen a blended family. 1, the open line of communication and active listening.
That's good. That's good.
2, establishing clear boundaries and your expectations within the family unit. 3, encouraging teamwork and cooperation.
Good.
So having the
It
kids
is.
work
Definitely
together, and that builds a bond between them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Fostering a positive and supportive environment. So, hey, if it's my wife's son's basketball, football game, or what have you, and she can't make it, I'm there. I'm there regardless anyway. You
Right.
know what I mean? But I'm there.
That
to
happened.
support.
That happened last weekend.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So they'll always have someone cheering them on.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And lastly, seeking professional counseling and therapy when
Facts.
needed.
I talked about that.
You know what I
To
mean?
the
When you
experts.
need it.
Yeah,
Don't be
I
afraid
talked about
to,
that,
you know
man.
what I mean? Do that.
Yeah.
Because if you love that person and that person loves you and so on and so forth, y'all wanted to work.
Facts.
Hey, it's a team. Let's
Facts.
go.
So great episode,
We a
guys.
blended family.
We are.
Yes,
that's
we are.
that's funny. That's
Through
hilarious.
all-
For real.
That's
all the
hilarious.
shade thrown.
That's hilarious. So next week, man, come right back, 7:00 p.m. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Mhm.
Well, we're gonna talk about the importance of open communication, and we're gonna touch on building trust, clarifying expectation, conflict resolution, emotional support,
Mhm.
strengthening bonds. We just talked about that. Encouraging inclusivity, adapting to change, modeling healthy relationships, addressing concerns early, creating a safe space. So those are just some of the things that we're going to dive into next week. So make sure y'all come back,
Absolutely.
bring your pen and pad, some copious notes. Take us home, bro.
Man, listen, just remember it's all about leaning in and loving on each one another. We appreciate y'all. Thank you all for joining the King's Cutting Board. I've been Victor Vaughn. The gentleman to my left has been
Choir boy, Bruce Bailey. I almost forgot my name. Yo.
Gentlemen.
That's crazy.
the gentleman to my left has been
I'm Don Chico.
Coach President. Now we appreciate you listening. Thank you for joining us. You could have done anything with your evening.
Absolutely.
We love and appreciate you for joining us. And just remember,
Huh?
all we want is peace.
Some peace. And what else?
A
A peace.
I definitely.
Peace.
Later, y'all.
Peace.